Okay, hi Mr. White. Okay, I'm going to try to get this speech done. First time was way too long. I'm going to try it again. Hopefully we can get it on YouTube because it wouldn't accept it the first time. Okay. You already know the topic because we talked about it earlier today. We're just going to go for it at this point because there's really nothing else we can do. Okay. First time it was 16 minutes. We can't have it that long. Let's go. All right. John Lennon and the Enlightenment got it wrong. John Lennon is a great songwriter. The Beatles are a great performance group. The Enlightenment, as great as it was in terms of a time in history, in terms of it giving us the modern sciences, the basis for the modern sciences, both physical and social, as great as it was, it got it wrong too. Now what's the it that both John Lennon and the Enlightenment got wrong? The it is religion. John Lennon in 1966 was quoted as saying, Christianity has got to go. It will eventually vanish. I don't have to argue this. I am right and will be proven right. The Enlightenment hundreds of years ago argued that as societies became more technologically advanced and as we became more educated, we would not need religion anymore. It would be a thing of the past. And yet, well, here we are having this discussion tonight. So the topic tonight is, with religion on the decline, are secular values on the rise? And I'm going to take the negative. I don't believe that this is true. Now, it's going to be the opposite during the essay, but for all intents and purposes tonight, I'll be defending the position of the negative. So let's kind of break apart the statement of with religion on the decline, are secular values on the rise. First off, is religion really on the decline? Let's ask ourselves that. Here's what I would say, and Tim Keller, pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian, would back me up on this because this has been a big part of his writing, sort of looking at the religious landscape of America at the current moment. He points out that, yes, the mushy middle is gone. The cultural Christians, those who belong to the mosque or the synagogue or the church, just because it's a thing that their families did and it's sort of a societal duty to raise your children in the church, that's gone. Cultural Christianity is slowly vanishing. But with that comes a new form of religious expression for religious Americans. There's a new fervor, there's a new intensity, there's a new passion to the religious American. The people who are sitting in the churches every Sunday morning, the people who are sitting in the churches every Sunday morning are people who are intensely passionate about their religious beliefs and also about evangelizing others in their communities to come and join their religious institutions. So in one sense, superficially, yes, religion is on the decline in terms of church attendance numbers and in terms of the data we get from Pew Research. But in actuality, in some ways, religion is being given a new renaissance in America in terms of actual passionate religious expression. Also, we need to look at this. We're going to talk about if religion is on the decline. It's not just the West that we need to look at. It's not just America. It's not just Europe. Yes, their religion has slowly been on the decline for the past several decades in terms of adherence. But in the East, in places like China and other Eastern countries, another religious renaissance. Religion is growing steadily, rapidly. So in terms of a global layout, in terms of a global population, the religious population is in fact rising. And also we need to look at this birth rates. Religious people are having more babies than secular people. With that comes this. There is no guarantee that the babies of the religious people are going to follow the same worldview as their parents, but if we look at sociology, we know that usually tends to be the case. They tend to do the same things that their parents do and believe the same thing that their parents believe. So in some ways, you say religion's on the decline, that's not necessarily true. In fact, it's actually growing in terms of a global population, and there's also new forms of religious expression being formed in America, and of course we still have the issue of the birth rate. 1/5 of the world's population is Catholic. That's not a mistake. That's because the Catholics are pretty big on be fruitful and multiply, okay? So religion is going to be around for a while just based off of birth rate and just based off of the global statistics that we have right now for population in terms of how many religious adherents we have. So it's going to be growing for a while and it's going to be here for a while. We need to look at the argument of, as of course, secular values are on the rise. First off, I would say that most people don't even know what the secular values are because we've never had really a secular society that's been around for more than 100 years. And all the other secular societies, a lot of them that were not based in some sort of religious expression, they didn't have the rug of religion underneath their feet. They didn't survive and flourish for multiple reasons. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. So yes, religion in the sense of church attendance is going down, but this is also important to point out. Article in Vox magazine talked to people ages 18 to 29. Those are the people that aren't going to church right now, right? Because the young people, the religion for young people is in decline. In their article, they did point out that when the question was given, what gives you meaning, significance, purpose, community in your life, the first two options, the first two choices of people 18 to 29 were family and friends. Okay, that's family and friends are not a religious value. It's not a secular value, though, either. Those things don't implicitly belong to either religion or secularism. And the third option and the fourth option, which went like this: spirituality and religion. So it's still in the psyche, it's still in the conscience of young people. And it's not so much on the decline as people might want to think it is in terms of the population of the young. Religion and spirituality came before work, it came before art, it came before sports, it came before politics. So the secular values and the secular sort of institutions still are not beating the religious institutions. And then finally, we need to look at the American political landscape if we're going to say that secular values are on the rise. Recent article in The Atlantic, a guy talked about this. Religion is still very much still in the public discourse. Thinking about the last presidential debate, the Bible was still mentioned. Each candidate's personal faith was still mentioned. So is it really on the decline in terms of it's just vanished from the public discourse? No. In politics, it's still very much in the conversation. And it will continue to be as long as the majority of Americans are religious. So it's not going away in that sense. Finally, some people want to say the argument is that secular morality is superior. It's not based off of gods or old myths that were written 2,000 years ago by Bronze Age people. It's not based off of a heaven or a hell. It's based off of science, reasoning, empirical data. But let me ask you this, and this is something that I got from Word on Fire, of course, a great Catholic ministry. Robert Barron, Doctrine and Philosophy, he is in charge of all that. He talked a little bit about the idea of the all men are created equal, or one of his writers talked about the statement of all men are created equal, right? Second paragraph of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. Is that entirely provable by empirical means and data? Is it provable by biology? No. In fact, biology tells us the exact opposite of that. All men are not created equal. Some are smarter, some are more capable of dominating others, some are stronger, some are faster, and with biology, it pretty much becomes survival of the fittest. People take advantage of their strong suits, of what they're good at, and through that, the strong are able to crush the weak. There is no equality in terms of nature and in terms of biology. And then let's also look at it from this perspective. This is last. Christian doctrine of hell. Some people hate it, okay? Why should we base all of our moral decisions and all of our ways of orienting ourselves morally about the world based off of what's going to happen to us when we die, out of fear, some sort of eternal damnation? Well, let me throw that to the opposite. What if we just believe that the only way that we should morally orient ourselves in the world is based off of the fact that we only have one life, and that's all we get? What do you think would happen? This is something that a philosophy professor at the University of Michigan, he kind of talked about. What do you think would happen? Do you think that people would make wise decisions? Would they do the Matthew 25 commands in the Bible? Would they take care of the poor, the needy, the destitute? Or would they just use their strengths to dominate others and completely be indifferent to the suffering of those who can't help themselves? Just try to make their life as best as it could and to hell with everyone else. I don't know. There are some questions that can only be answered by living them. So that's a question we would have to live into, but I think that the answer would be the latter. It would not be good if we just completely went away with the idea of a final justice. Okay, lastly, let me just say this. I want you to think about Spinoza. I want you to think about David Hume. Imagine they landed at Texas A&M University. Imagine the shock that they would see when they saw that the students were wearing crosses and that there were churches all around the campus. Because those are the people that believed in the Enlightenment narrative that said technology increases, education increases, religion disappears. And yet, here we are, 2020, technologically advanced, highly educated, and still incredibly religious. Why is that? Think about it. All right, that's it. Thank you.